So how do you keep track of all your speaking gigs? Once you get a gig, once it's booked, what do you do to actually keep track of it? Or once someone contacts you, what do you do to keep track of everything? My name is Benji Bruce. I'm with Speaking Lifestyle, and here's what I do to keep track of all the gigs. Now, at first, when you're only booking like 1 or 2 gigs a month, you can essentially keep track of it in your head, really. But eventually it kind of gets mixed up. So you have to have like a system to keep track of your speaking gigs, all your speaking engagements. So here's what I do. First thing, once someone contacts me and they say, hey, we want to book you for August 11th for this event. So how much would it be? So at this point, I essentially put that into the calendar. So I say, okay, August 11th. I don't put it as booked, so I have my calendar color coded. So let's say the purple is basically they contacted me. So that's the first color. That way I know if someone else contacts me for August 11th, then I can look in the calendar and say, oh, well, this person, they contacted me, but they haven't completely booked it yet. And so I can kind of go from there. So first thing is as soon as they contact me, bam, I put it into the calendar, and then I respond to their email. We basically do the whole thing. Here's what it's gonna be. Here's what I need to know from you. Once they actually do book me, once I get the deposit, and that's what I considered a booked gig, when the money is in the bank, when I get the deposit, then I change the color from purple to green. So at that point, I know, okay, this is booked. This is actually in my calendar. I've gotten the money and I'm actually gonna show up to the event. So at that point, now it's just a matter of putting all that information, the person in charge, like all the information into the calendar. So, and by the way, the calendar is synced up to my phone. So I use the calendar on my Mac, and it's all synced up to my phone. So I put all the information into my calendar, the name of the person, the email, the contact information, hotel contact information, the hotel confirmation information, the flight. I put all that stuff into the calendar. That way, when I'm actually traveling, I can just bam, one button, and oh, I see all the stuff in the calendar. So it all goes into the calendar. And then once everything's in the calendar, now it's with the contract. I make sure that I save the contract as a date. So if it's August 11th, the contract says August 11th and then whatever the name of the company is. But the actual date comes first, and then all that gets put into a folder on my computer. That way I actually can just bam, open up the folder, and I can see all the contracts in that one folder. And it's very organized for me. So the contract, the agreement, it's just in a folder. It's always saved as a date, so it's very specific to me, and it just makes things easier to find. And everything that's saved, I mean, I even save in the actual calendar. By the way, I even say how I'm going to get to the hotel, or get from the airport to the hotel and back. Because sometimes it'll be different. Maybe sometimes it'll be like all inclusive, and I have to pay for the travel, or they'll pay for it. Or if I'm going to Atlanta and I know it's on Peachtree, I'll just freaking take the train because it's only like $2 for the train. So I put all that information into the calendar. Everything goes into this calendar, really. In the contract, it's saved as a date. Then I actually put the follow-up date into the calendar as well. So if I know, okay, August 11th is the date of the event, I'm gonna put August 1st as a date for me to contact them, to follow up with them, just for them to really, it's really for them, not for me. It's really because people are terrified that the speaker won't show up, that they'll forget about the event. If they hire you like 7 months in advance, then they're terrified that you're gonna forget, you're not gonna show up. So about 2 weeks beforehand, I usually contact them and say like, hey, we've got everything. Is everything good on your end? To make sure you have the board, by the way. I always have them get this board for me, but I always say, hey, do you guys have the board? It's all set. This way it kind of eases their mind where it's like, okay, he does remember, he's actually gonna show up to our event. So I always put the follow-up date in there as well. And once I have all that stuff, okay, so everything's in the calendar, the contract, all that stuff, I follow it up, At that follow-up date, when I'm actually following up with them, I review all the information. So I review everything about the speaking gig, everything about this event. That way I can kind of refresh my memory if I don't really remember too much of it. So that's really how you keep track of your speaking gigs, and really everything comes down to putting all the information into your calendar, like literally everything into your calendar, and it's synced up. I sync it up with my phone. That way I can just at any point, bam, pull out the phone, just go to the calendar, it all pops up like magic. So that's how you keep track of all the speaking gigs you do. Eventually you're gonna get to that point, so you might as well have a system right now, even if you only have like one gig for 3 months. Just kind of build this system to where it'll be able to hold 70 gigs throughout the year. And you'll be able to keep track of all of them. So just get used to the habit of having this system in place to where you're keeping track of all your gigs. And that's how I do it.